I think. So I'm going to drive along. I've got two wheels in the ditch on the left, and as long as the centre of gravity is to the right of those two wheels, we're going to stay on the right side. Okay. But the two wheels up the slope have got no grip. So along we go. Again, I'm just covering the brake. First gear as slow as possible. Okay, again, take as little energy on the slope as you can, then if you do hit a bump, you get less of a rebound, less chance of falling over. As we go in, that front wheel starts to climb the other side, that front wheel will come off the ground. Or we'll have very little weight on it, so it may lose traction. So about now, there's no weight on that front wheel. There's not a lot of weight on the rear right either.
I don't know with Army.
As we go forward, it's not going to do it, is it? No, it's not going to lose traction. Again, straight up. The car's just too good. Now going uphill should be as high gear as possible, but because we come up there in first to do the obstacle, we're staying in first. Okay, it's gravel, it's a low grip surface, but there's still enough grip here. If I was to change gear as we go up the hill, I disengage the drive, I lose control of the vehicle. So I'll wait until I'm on the level and then we'll change up. This is where normally we'd be getting out, we'd be checking the slope, the surface, there's nothing in the way, and then we've got a run-off area at the bottom. Okay. Now I know I've got all of that because I've drove it recently. There's a lot of water at the bottom as well. So to go downhill, maximum engine braking, first gear. So just going to ease it over the edge, nice and gently, just so we can see what's there as well. There's no vehicles in the way. At this point I could still reverse off if I needed to. Yeah, so if I did see there's a car there, I could reverse off or we could wait for him to move. However, hopefully all this heavy rain has washed all the slime off this slope, so hopefully we'll get some grip go down. So there's 45 degrees, engine braking, slightly on the backside, a little bit of throttle, just so I've got steering to steer at the bottom. Still very slippery. So you can drive down a 45 degree slope, but it's a little bit dodgy. And when we're driving in ruts, always try and be aware of where your wheels are pointing. You could be driving along and you could have a full turn of lock into the water again, just covering the brake, lowering it in, and then once the car's in, we're going to put a little bit of a bow on. So a little bit of throttle, only 1500 revs. You see the water's coming up to the headlights here. This is quite deep. But we've got the raised air intake, so the engine's going to be alright, we just might get a bit damp.
Yeah, we'll see it.
I've pushed all that water in front of me along this channel. Now if I've got a steep beach to come up, that's all going to bounce off and come back and wash over the bonnet. So by stopping, I'm allowing it to run down the sides of the car. Again, less impact on the cooling pack on the front of the car, less chance of any debris coming back and going through the radiator. Again, we're going downhill, so first gear, it's nice and controlled. This is quite a tight corner to come round, so I'm on full lock. So I think it's at about 4 lines. Doesn't really apply on that one because of the way we're turning as we come down it. There we go. And then I'm going to go into second once we're off the worst of it. So water. The mirrors are all misted up. Right. Here we've got what we call the elephant's footprints. They're about 30 centimetres deep. As we go up, the wheels are going to drop in and out. Okay. So the car's going to bounce about a lot. Yeah. Going uphill, higher gear as possible, second gear. A little bit of momentum, just to get over the first ones. This is where the hill's steepest. It shallows off a little bit afterwards. You can see the wheels turning and stopping there. That's the traction control working. And it will get us out of situations where you're cross-axled and you're stuck. Traction control will kick in and move you forward.
How would a series Land Rover cope with that? We're just staying in second, though.
Yeah, second's good.
Brilliant.
So this is the Jungle track. Yeah, just follow the track round. This is the original test track for Land Rover from 1948. And the tour guides will tell you more about the factory, but it was built in the 1930s as a shadow factory to build aeroplane components preceding the Second World War. At the end of the war, the government needed to clear all the bomb sites in Coventry and Birmingham, and they needed somewhere to dump the rubble. And they said, oh look, we've got that factory out in the middle of nowhere. Let's dump it next to that. So what you're driving on is central Birmingham and Coventry. So this was a landfill once, and over the years it's been allowed to grow up. They gave the factory to Land Rover in 1947. They looked at this and said, oh, we could test our new Land Rover on there.
Fantastic.
So it's now a site of specific scientific interest. We can't make it into tracks. Across, we're going to head straight across behind that big bush you can see. A little slower. The faster you go, the bumpier it gets.
Yeah. It's quite a sensitive throttle, actually, isn't it? I find it.
It's the first time I've heard it called that.
No, I'm just heading for it. To the
Round
left, to the right.
Okay, we've had a lot of rain, so a lot of water around at the moment.
Hard physical exercise. It's brilliant. You're stone lighter by the end of this.
I injured my neck and back playing rugby several years ago, and I find that a half day in a Defender is better than a physio session. There's all the bouncing, it moves it around a lot, frees it up.
The problem with this is you can't tell what's underneath.
Exactly. You should never drive into water until you know how deep it is and what's on the bottom.
Yeah.
Might only be 6 inches deep, but if you've got 3 foot of silt, you're not going to get through. However, local knowledge counts for a lot, and I know anybody can get a Defender through here.
I can't swim, so if we have to get out of this, somebody's going to have to carry me.
We asked about having crocodiles in here, but they won't notice. I don't know why. Well, you can see why it's called the Jungle track.
Yes,
Round to the right. So it doesn't look like anybody's driven it so far today, so we may come across some branches or twigs that are down. We'll see what happens. Just follow around to the right. Keep going around. And down that way. So this is the stream that we're going to drive down. So across there. As you see, it's flowing with us, so we're driving with the flow of the stream. If you drive against the flow, obviously you have to push against the weight of that water that's coming against you, and it will make it deeper in front of the car. So more chance of it washing over the bonnet. Obviously the current flow through here isn't that great because it's only shallow back there. So this is a bit of a lake that's fed by the stream. So here, keep it over to the right. You can see this tree on the left's got some marks on it. That's where the roof racks have hit it.
Right. About there?
Yeah, that's good. That's where it goes deep.
Yeehaw.
So you can feel the water on the bottom of the car. That's telling you on your maximum wade depth. And it's coming into the doors.
Yeah, positively.
Sorry, when Defender production stops?
Are you still going to keep using the Defenders on the Experience?
I believe so, yes.
Right.
We've not actually had it confirmed, but people love Defender.
Exactly.
As you guys do, obviously you're here for the tour as well. So. And the Defender tour just took off, and we're doing more of those than any other tours.
Yeah.
The celebration tour. So.
Well, I think it's a crying shame that it's finishing, but
Unfortunately, you have to move with the times, and it doesn't meet the impact and emissions regulations for all.
it's just a shame that you one can't be built here. That's
Well, it may be.
really.
We don't know.
Oh right, I thought it was definitely going to Slovenia or something.
Well, there's lots of stuff, lots of talk, and I think F-Pace is being built in Slovakia.
We'll have to do something to
Steer factory, but there's lots of talk. There's lots of links with other countries, and a new factory being built in Brazil where they can build Discovery Sport initially.
Really?
Go around to the right and up the hill.
Yeah.
Branches there, that's good. Okay, so we'll just stop at the bottom. Now you can see it's quite bumpy. Okay, some big potholes, there's some big rocks, and you can see on the right hand side there's a nice one that's black and polished. That's not actually black rock, that's tyre rubber that's coated it from people getting stuck and spinning the wheels.
Which one are we looking at?
In the right hand ruts.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to drive up, we're going to use a little bit of momentum. When we get to the top, you can see that the track doesn't go straight on because there's trees there, it goes to the right. Okay, so a little bit of momentum, second gear, about 1400 revs, we'll climb that. We'll bounce about a lot, so watch your shoulders and heads and things.
We're used to that.
And when we get to the top,
Certainly used to
stop
that.
and we'll see what's on the other side.
Brilliant. So we start off in second?
Yep, second gear.
Superb. Right, so same technique.
Find the
Coming
biting
up,
point.
Find the bite point.
That's it. Clutch and brake together. And then 1500 revs. We shall climb over this. That's it. Okay, so let's just stop there.
Okay.
So now,
To the right?
yeah, keep bearing around to the right. Thanks for the right here. About workout, this is the arm twirling route. So,
Brilliant.
now imagine what it'd be like without power steering as well, so if we're in a series.
Well, yeah. We'll make this in one.
Yeah, we'll just make it.
Giving thanks to Hendon Police Driving School for teaching me the proper way of... I'm glad you know what's underneath this water. Hell.
It's bumpy. There's a lot of bricks, rubble.
Jesus. The bump on my head.
I did warn you.
You did, yeah.
So we go to the left here.
Well, literally round to the left.
Round to the left.
The tennis ball, then my springer would have liked me to have stopped and picked that up.
That's one of the team building stuff we do.
All right.
And then round to the right there. And we're going to go right again. Unfortunately, we can't go straight on because there's a low tree that will take, well, we'll knock the tree down with a roof rack. So. But that's the collapsed bridge track. That's actually built to simulate what they experienced on the Camel Trophy first overland type tracks. Lots of wood with mud and bumps and planks missing, and you can see we wouldn't get underneath that tree there. So unfortunately, we can't get down that track.
Oh, I've watched a lot of the videos of things like the Oxford and Cambridge expeditions.
Yes.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Those were Series 2s, I think.
Series 1s.
Series 1s,
Yeah,
right?
1952.
55.
55 was it? Okay. I bet your great knowledge on that.
I've watched it a few times as well.
But I read that book when I was about 10 by Tim Slessor, and that's what sort of inspired me. And then I learned to drive when I was 12 in a Series 1 on the farm. So
I tell you what, I would love your job, I really would.
I do.
There's not one instructor who hasn't said that. You can see why, really.
Yeah.
I've spent my life instructing in various things, but not this. Fabulous.
It is good fun.
Oh, it is. Now this bow wave is really constricted on either side here, isn't it? Where we're
So the narrower the channel, the more water you're going to push in front of you. If you drive into an open lake, the water's going to spread out. So
I'm going to get out of the way and we'll head over
there you go.
Brilliant.
Round.
Absolutely superb.
So we're going to go onto the road for about 30 yards, and we go right in the gap in the railings. Okay, second gear is fine, a little bit of power just to climb that hill. Okay, it's a good surface, it's gravel, it's fairly well packed. We can go straight on across there.
What engine's this? This is the 2.2.
2.2
Puma.
Puma engine, yeah, full transit engine. Slightly retuned. So, you can use a little bit of throttle if you want to, just to move the car forwards. So, steering, keep it in the ruts. And they'll help to steer the car. If it does start to slide, they'll guide it down the hill anyway. It shouldn't slide on here. With these tyres on. But all the other cars have got standard road tyres on.
What's this thing got?
This has got mud terrain tyres on.
right.
Again, you can have them as a factory fitted option when you spec the car, when you buy the car. But they do make a big difference. The other cars have got ordinary road tyres on. They're going around to the left, and as soon as they get full of mud, it's like driving with slicks. But they're still extremely capable, even with low tyres on.
So back into second.
Right. Into second, yeah.
On the move, presumably. No,
Yeah,
it's not.
get that on the move. It's a level, smooth surface. Again, it's tarmac. You can go straight down the side of the car park. So this is the land track. Neither side. It's just a lay-by, so I'll take it right time on. This is more of the real world type situations where you use a Defender.
Yeah.
Not use any other cars to be honest. Okay, so we take the right hand fork in.
It's a real combination of sort of medium to long range anticipation and extreme concentration on the detail that's literally just in front of you
Yes.
underneath you, isn't it?
Yes, very much. So these are the deep ruts, as you can see. Also gets very bumpy on this stretch as well. go around here a bit, just remember that the back will cut the corner a little bit, so while you don't catch the wheel arcs on those trees on the right. Wide line.
Well
So,
said.
keep going up.
To the
Right hand side.
right hand side. You don't think of anybody who comes on these and says, I really didn't like that?
A couple of people that started and then said, actually, it wasn't too bad. Go to the right again.
Oh, this is the best bloody fun you could possibly ever have.
I like to think so.
It's superb.
And the best thing is, it's not your car. So when you get trees next to the track, trees have roots, and roots tend to stick out,
Got
as
one.
you can see here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you get big bumps when you go past a tree. Like that.
That's it. Which way through?
Right. Some tracks are like that, are what we call level 2 tracks, and those are what we use for the full day or for the formal training that we do. And again, with the roof rack, we probably wouldn't get down some roads.
Yeah. They're all long wheelbase ones.
The ones that we use here, yes. Some of our centres have got short wheelbase, 90s.
What's the thinking behind the long wheelbase rather than the short wheelbase?
They're more comfortable in the back for passengers.
Ah, right.
Unless you sit in the middle.
And we've got 7 seats.
Yeah.
We can use them for tour buses as well,
Yeah.
when we need to.
When you sit in the middle, you get bruised on your bottom.
Tell you what, I'd love to exchange the factory tour that I've already done for another of these this afternoon.
You go next to the right.
I enjoyed the factory tour so much in September, I've just got to come back and do it again.
Oh, right.
So I am.
So we're going to head across there to the right of that orange post.
Right, where Mr. Squirrel is.
Still the squirrel. So no sign of the fox. And on your sunbays on that bank over there. You're not got a lot of sun to that. Again, this is where you'd be out and testing the depth, really steep or wandering into it in your wellies. Local knowledge is a wonderful thing. So we go around to the right beyond this bank. And we go onto that side slope. So about 2 foot down from the top,
Okay.
into first gear. Okay, so it's about control.
Right, so the first now.
Onto first. So 2 foot down from the top.
Okay.
It's fairly clean, should be loads of grip on it. If it does start to slide, just steer down and go with it. There's plenty of runoff at the bottom, yeah?
So again, accelerator or just on
No,
engine?
just take out, just cover the brake. So that's a nice clean side slope. Moving on to this next one now. So again, 2 foot from the left-hand bank.
Okay.
Now this one's got a lot of mud on it. It's not quite as steep as that one. So we may slide, we may not. But as we go over the top, the weight transfer all goes onto the front right wheel.
Right.
Yeah. And that's where the back makes just skip across a little bit as we drop off the edge. And over there on your left is vehicle dispatch. All those cars are sold, ready to go off all over the world. There we go, a little bit of a slide there. Okay, so we go back into second now. And just lower it into the water gently. And then once the back wheels are in, a little bit of throttle, just push that out of the way. Just a bit of throttle now, push the water out of the way. It's quite a narrow channel, so it can't dissipate. We've got to need a bit of power to push it. And we go around to the right into the bridge. Again, you can feel the water at the bottom of the car, so you know that's the way depth. But we've got great there. Steve on Gregory's 5. So we're going to turn right here.
Okay.
We go up this hill.
Still in second? Or do we
Yeah.
in first?
No.
Okay.
as high a gear as possible to go uphill.
Right, yeah.
So just let it go up on tick over. So
Really?
feet off, yeah. So the anti-stall's working,
Yeah.
the idle jack's working, pushes the revs up from 800 to just under 1,000. And it's finding the mechanical grip there, so we don't need momentum for that hill.
Right.
The car will find the grip. There we go. And now we're going to go downhill.
So
We can use first gear, which gives us maximum engine braking, but we'll try this in a second, just so
Okay.
you can feel the difference, yeah? So we do the other hill in first,
Yeah.
come down in second, and we're going to head to the right behind that tree. So feet off the brakes.
Yeah, they're on. Just covering.
Yeah. So the engine note's rising, the car's picking up speed.
Where we go?
Across that. But you feel the difference, yeah,
Absolutely.
between first and second.
I get the feeling that if it had sort of been another 20, 15 yards or something or other, we'd have, you know, the brake is not the thing to push.
No, we need a little bit of gas.
There we go.
Yeah. So, just to show the difference between first and second gear,
Brilliant.
downhill, we're going to go across that track there.
Yeah.
Set the left fork.
Right on.
Through all the gloopy thick mud,
Okay.
across the rocks and
Yep.
between the white posts.
Got it. Is that going to be second or a first gear?
No, second.
Second.
Yeah. Just a little bit of gas, just follow up. And then left behind this tree.
Oh. There we go.
And across there where it says steps.
Okay.
Okay, so just stop at the top.
Okay.
So, I'm not how far you can see down there, but we've got, stop there,
Yep.
we've got 2 flights of steady car down and it'll brake itself. It's a bit bumpy. And again. Okay, back into second. We go round to the left. Again, we might not make this in one go, so.
I think we will. As long as we're going there and not
We
there.
are going to.
There we go.
So we go left. And then left again. So we go
Here. This one.
Yep. Very
Still in
slippery.
second?
Yep, second's good.
Maybe not.
Yeah, keep going.
Really?
Yeah. The front wheels will find the ruts. It'll push its way across. They'll drop in. There we go. The back will slide in as well. Keep the power on.
Okay.
And up she goes.
No, I put her into first, so I
Ah,
guess
so it should be second.
I should have been. I guess it's a bit late to put it into second on the run like
Yeah,
this.
once you're moving
Yeah.
in a low traction situation, as soon as you dip that clutch,
Yeah.
you're going to have to start again.
Right.
Okay, so let's go into second.
Yep.
And we take that track directly opposite us.
This one.
Yeah. So this is the articulations. As you can see, there's quite some, a lot of wheel movement involved. And the natural reaction is to always steer up the hill. If you just keep the steering straight, the car will still go in the right direction. Takes a lot less energy out of you than if you're doing all the arm twirling as you go along.
Yeah.
And you get the same result.
Basically, just letting the steering wheel almost turn itself, aren't you?
Well-
Or you're hanging on to it through death.
It's just making life as easy for you as possible as the driver. Okay, so we're going to go to the right of the black post, and then we're going to stop at the bottom of that hill. Right, and we'll have a look at it. Okay, so let's just stop here. We still lower than
yes,
first gear
of
high
course,
range.
yeah. Tick over or accelerate?
You can go up on tick over if you want to see how it works.
Yeah, that's a pretty big gear.
Loads of grip on here today, so
Unbelievable.
this heavy rain's washed all the mud off. Steve on Gregory's 2. He said that. Nobody else out today. So we're going to go down that hill there.
Yeah, still in second.
Yep. Move forwards until we can see it, and then stop and we'll have a look. Okay, so this is a bit steeper than the other one that went down in second, so first gear is the best gear for this. Yeah, because that was the one we went down where it started to run away a little bit.
Got it, yep.
The one that over there, and that's shallower.
Okay, brilliant.
So first gear, ease it forward, feet off the pedals, and let the car do all the work. Again, concrete surface, not a lot of mud on it, loads of grip, and it's fairly smooth. Once we get onto the bottom, once we level into second, and we go straight down through where that arrow is in front.
Yep, gotcha.
You wouldn't think you're in the middle of a housing estate, in the middle of a factory, would you?
This real estate alone must be worth an absolute fortune. I don't know.
Water's lovely, it looks nice and smooth, but you don't know what's on the bottom.
Yeah, right.
It's always best to drive it with caution, especially this bit.
Yeah, see what you mean.
Left at the end.
Okay. Right here.
Again, if you go slower,
Yeah.
it's easier to turn the wheel quicker.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's going to have a sore elbow.
There's a couple of medical conditions we've identified here. One is Defender elbow,
Yeah,
and the other is off-road Tourette's.
yeah, there's another one, Defender head, as I discovered.
I was at another track of ours, and a young lady driving, she's very well spoken. And we got to the top of a 40-degree slope. He said, I'm not driving down there. I spent about 5 minutes persuading her that it was safe. As we launched over the top, she called me all the names under the sun from the top to the bottom of this hill. We got to the bottom, she's like, I'm terribly sorry, I don't normally swear. I'm used to it.
Well, I'm basing all this on the assumption that if you're alive, it's safe. I'll tell you one thing I wouldn't ever do though, and that's bungee jumping. I don't care how safe it is. Never.
Round to the right.
How long do you actually, I mean, in terms of months or years, with this vehicle, for example, be
About 18 months normally.
really? And then what? Sold off normally?
They go off to dealer auctions, dealers buy them and sell them on.
Yeah.
Obviously with the proviso that they've been used for
Absolutely.
off-road instruction.
Yeah.
Well, they should. I've got a colleague who works at Eastner part-time, and he runs a garage.
Right.
And his mate rang him up and he said, I've just bought this Freelander, would you have a look at it for me? He's gone, yeah, bring it down. So he's brought it to the yard, and this silver Freelander, we used to use silver, our cars all used to be silver.
Yeah.
And my colleague's recognised the number plate. He's gone, that's an LRE car, that is. The guy's gone, no. One previous owner, Land Rover. Gone, yeah, Land Rover Experience. No. So he's got it up on the ramps. And shown him all the score marks and scratch marks underneath. And the guy's gone, oh, that explains why when I washed it, all the mud came out the doors.
I mean, presumably they don't leave Land Rover without being sort of
They're fully
completely
checked and
yeah.
petrol, but he went back to his dealer, and got his money back.
Really?
Yeah. Because dealer hadn't told him.
Ah.
This was several years ago.
Yeah.
Things have changed a bit since then, I hope, in the retailer network.
But probably not. An extremely well-known sort of car television program presenter who was done a few years ago for clocking. And he's still around, and it's not Clarkson or anybody, of course, but it's
Wilson,
that's the one.
across there. So, to the right of that prickly bush.
Okay. Whoa, this looks good. Still second?
Yep. Second for everything. Second gear low range will get you through almost everything. First gear for the engine braking, but it's actually better when they first laid this, all the stones were loose and the car just moved about so much as you drive across it.
It's fabulous. Once you get used to it, it's actually quite restful.
Go over to the left.
It's certainly not dramatic at all, is it? It's all very controlled. We get through here.
Really go over that bump in front.
Yep.
So this is where you've got to bear in mind your ramp over
Yeah.
angle, the risk of beaching. Keep it over to the right, you're going to reduce that risk. It's a little shallower. And then left behind the tree here.
Here.
Yep.
I'm so glad I did this.
And then go through the water and across the way because someone's parked in the way there. Round to the left. And just pull in between the posts there. To the lay by.
Where am I going?
Drop
Up here.
into that lay by
Right.
there. It's much easier to Defender than it is in a Range Rover to get through here. The engine note will rise because of the weight of the car. It's making the engine turn faster. But it's still under control, there's no locking involved. Loads of grip, loads of control. There you go. So it's not as extreme as that 45 I drove down when we just slid,
No.
but it's still controlled. There you go, a second. And then once the first wheel starts to climb the first steps, you want a little bit of power to about 1500 revs. Okay? Now you can see on the ramp on your side,
Yeah.
there's mud in the middle, but there's a grippy bit on the outside.
Yeah.
So try and keep your wheel on that side, and that should drive us up. Okay, and then we get onto the landing, same on my side,
Yeah.
get the wheel on my side on the grippy section. 1500 revs again once we start to climb. Okay. Whatever you do, don't dip the clutch. If you mean stalling the engine, I'd rather stall the engine than roll backwards down the hill. I had somebody do it to me the other day, and it's a little bit scary. Keep the flare on. You can hear the wheels just starting to lose traction there, but it'll get you. Go on to articulations. Oh, we got it.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
I'm on a mission now.
Over to the right because they're going to drop down into the. To the left. Down through that sloppy mud. This is slow, so just ease it on in second gear. And it's very bumpy and very uncomfortable. Put your foot down, faster, go, go, go. All the way to the floor. Gas, 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 gas. Faster, faster, faster. Faster, keep going, faster. Foot to the floor. There you go. Get smoother, doesn't it? Yeah. You go down.
He puts it down and get quick.
Thing is, it's very hard to keep your foot on the pedal because it's moving up and down, isn't it? You go down to the left here. So, but the idea there is.
Oh, nice, Shimmy.
Whoops, you come out the ruts there.
I did,
Drop it
yes,
back in,
I
it's a
did.
bit of a bump. There we go. Okay, and I'm moving to go to the left. But the idea of the railway sleepers is in certain countries in the world, developing world, and in places like Australia as well, you get what's called washboard roads. And it's where the effect of the lorry suspension using the roads makes it bumpy. Go round to the right. And as a result, you get a series of ridges and depressions. Round to the right again, yeah. And if you travel along them at 20 mile an hour, you get seasick because you're going up and down, up and down. Do them at 30 mile an hour, and you get the crunch, 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 which we got there, as you're hitting them. 50 mile an hour, you fly across the top. The suspension doesn't have time to react to the potholes. It just leaps from the top of one ridge to the next. And it's much more comfortable.
You wouldn't let me leave me foot on the
It's very hard to keep your foot on the gas when you're doing that.
I never thought I'd hear that.
Round to the left.
Not being able to keep your foot on the accelerator.
Go to the right.
We've had Land Rovers on the railway where they have to prove the route after a lot of it now, aren't they?
Let's give it a go. Okay, so power now. Nice steady throttle. 1500 revs. Just actually gets a little steep from the top. That's it. And now lock left. Nice. Range wash most of it. So first gear for this one. Go down. That's it.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Car just controls itself down to the bottom. And we'll go round to the right. Take it to second. You go round the middle. Cross into that water effect.
That was nice.
Where you're steering is, you've got nearly a full turn of lock on, and we want to go in a straight line again. Okay, so when you go into the water, I'm going to go left. Through that bit of water there. There's some big ruts in the bottom of here. There we are. And go over where the magpie is.
You would do it to get that magpie.
There's about 30 of them up here. Up over the hook there.
Fascinated by the pheasants at Eastern Castle.
Oh, shooting season, it's like a carpet. Or wing thieves as they're known.
They make some money out of it, don't they?
Oh, they do. Did you see the Reeves pheasants?
Yeah.
The gold ones?
They were wonderful.
Were they attacking your car?
Yep.
Yep, they do that.
Where's that, Eastner?
Yeah. Round to the left and then on. They're very territorial when you go anywhere near them. And they will attack you if you're outside the car. And they will attack the car as you drive past.
Richard had been attacked. Right, shall we go left? So, sorry, that was my fault. Too late on the instruction. We need to go backwards. A little bit of an awkward cross axle reverse. Let's see how you do that then. Full lock before we move. So even though you're quite a sharp angle there, it still finds attraction.
I might close the window a bit here.
Okay, so when you go down into the water.
Have you got a Land Rover at all? Have you got a Land Rover at all?
No, I'm going to get one. I used to drive them, as I say, in the years
Again on that one, I think.
I want a Series 3.
Try again.
Sit there.
They've done a little bit. I've got a Series 2 and the garage just broke and I'll fix it one day. One day.
Yeah, we've all got a one-day car.
Yeah, I think I know what the problem is now, but I just can't get round to do with it.
I've got
Just
a
got to
Mark
change the
1
earth lead. After all the mess.
Ford Fiesta in my garage, rear-wheel drive, 1380 crossflow rally car. And I've got a 19-year-old going, Dad! Because it hasn't turned a wheel in 10 years. So left under the bridge.
Well, I've got a Caterham 7 which I built 26 years ago, which I will never make the mistake of selling. I had a midget once, which I loved, and I made the mistake of selling it and getting an MGB instead, which was the biggest pig of a car I've ever owned. And I've regretted for 23 years selling that midget.
Steve on Gregory's fine. So we'll do this on tick over, but with a little bit of momentum. It's a little comfier. Okay, so lift off. We'll go down this in a second, just so you can feel the difference. At the bottom, you go around to the right. It's starting to pick up speed. The engine notes are picking up. It's not as much control as you get in first. Okay, so we're going to go up there. It's going
Really?
yeah. It's off-road heaven.
Absolutely.
I was there last week and in one of these, just having having my assessment, and I nearly turned it over at one point. But my assessor was outside the car at the time.
On the wrong side or the right side?
No, it was on the correct side. But
Right.
How often do you have to get checked out then?
well, this was for a senior assessment, so
right.
it was a promotion. But every 3 years we get checked in our grades, so we get reassessed, just to make sure we're maintaining the standards. Straight on.
It will be having a tin wheel on when I have to change the
Right, so I'm going to drive down. First gear. Just keep it moving forward. When I say stop, just put your foot on the clutch and brake. We've got one of these at Gaydon, and it drops you into a tunnel. And I didn't tell the guest who was driving what was going to happen. He drove on thinking he was going to drive straight off the end. And it went down with a hell of a thump. He went a bit quicker than he should have. I thought he was going to have a heart attack. And stop. There we go. Cool. Okay, so just leave it in first. We've got the side snake. Oh dear, it's stalled. Foot off the brake first. That's it. That's it. There you go.
That's easy because where we used to go off-roading, that was their test to see if you was competent enough to go around on your own. Except it says driving to the gate, which is just like fenced off with tape. I missed the gate.
Okay, let's go back up, is it?
I like that. It's just nice. It's sort of, people think it's going to be hairy.
Yeah, it's all about control.
But a lot of people say to me, what you got the disc lock in for?
You could be
doing right?
putting it in, taking it out all the time. Yeah, going down to the right. You could be putting it in, taking it out all the time, but it's there when you need it if it's engaged. Yeah, we should run over a couple of branches, but
Yeah.
it's like hill descent control in the other cars. It's always on in the background, unless you manually turn it off when you're in low range. In certain programs, it's always there. So rather than suddenly realising halfway down the hill you need it, it's already on. Okay, let's go forwards because I think they're going to go up the walking hole, so we can watch them go up. And we'll see the difference between this and that. Yeah. So they're going up the walking holes, and you watch. The suspension on that car will keep the body as level as possible, even though it goes for quite extreme. So the wheels are doing all the work, the articulation. The body stays fairly level. Yeah. Right, he's driven right off the track there. We're going to go up in second gear. It's going to bounce about a lot. About 1200-1300 revs. Just keep it going. Keep it in the holes. Right up and under the bridge at the top. So we bounce about a lot more. Over to the left. this is one of those really annoying hills. Is it first gear, is it second gear? You can take it in second, it's fine.
If in doubt, first.
If in doubt, first, yeah.
There's no need to razz. You know, it's right. You can go as fast as you need to.
Yep.
You can't get up in second and it's slipping. Get a little bit more in third or something.
That's it.
But, some folks don't see that.
We just want to get everywhere as fast as we can. Okay, we're going to go round to the right. So various bits of track are named after various instructors for not very nice reasons. So just there is Merv's Curve, where one of our instructors in the snow, the car slid off the edge of the hill before they put those ropes up onto its side. And I hope it
Oh,
stays
you
that
shouldn't
way.
have said that.
I intend to keep it that way. Although if I had turned that Defender over on Tuesday last week, it would well be named after me. Situations where if I carry on trying to go forwards, it's going to fall, so I'm going to have to go down the track that is on my right. Which isn't the track I want. Here we go, so front wheels off the ground, all the weights on the front, left and rear right. Just balancing it. And that's a monocoque, all aluminium monocoque. It's strong enough that you can open the doors without it twisting. I love that little coating. But they lost 420 kilos out of the weight of that over the previous model. When it was designed to be a metre deep wading depth. The problem is, at that deep it floats, because they put so much weight out of it. So wade depth's 900 mil on it. And I know it floats deeper than that because I've done it. Really about 2. Okay. Could do it, but if you do it all the time, you're going to put a lot of strain on components. Just stick it here on the left against the fence. Oh yeah. Actually, we'll see where he's going. Yeah, stick it in the bay next to that one where we got it from. I don't know what that's doing there.